Hi everybody, Sandi Clarkson here with you today, sharing a process video for My Creative Scrapbook using the February limited edition kit. I thought I would just start this by kind of going over my thinking process and then take you along for the design. This one's going to be pretty easy because I'm using this yesterday piece of paper from the Echoes of Time collection by Joanne Bain from 49 and Market. And this paper, doesn't need too much in the way of elements because it's really so detailed. And I'm going to scrap this little photo right here. I've already matted it on one of the papers, and I cut out the little lace scallop that went down at the bottom too. And then I thought for layers, I'm going to bring in this stopwatch frame. I'm trying to pick it up here. And, I could reprint my photo and make it smaller, but I don't really like it like that because I want all of her expression to kind of show. So I thought I could kind of put it on the side and then do some layers underneath. And I've kind of chosen a few things here if I can pick them up. I thought, again, I'd use one of these note cards to be a layering piece. And then I also have this little ticket kind of paper that we could go right there. I'm also looking for the torn tickets, not this one. I do think I could bring this one in on the side, kind of like that. And then I was thinking about taking one of the little tiny frames and tucking it in just to be a different kind of layering element and, add some interest there. So I'm going to have to kind of play around with that. And then, I was thinking about, instead of centering it right in the center, I was thinking about bringing it just down just a little bit more in the corner. But I do want to add some stenciling over here, so I may put it more in the center. And then I will be using some florals. I've kind of picked these right here, I think, that I'll probably use like a pink and a purple down here and a pink up here. Kind of blush is what we're going to call it. And then I'll be bringing in a lot of laser cuts, I'm sure, but I thought this one would be really nice to go down there with the florals and then tuck in this little round piece from the ephemera pack that says laugh always. There's one also that says love, so I may use that one as well. And there's a little ticket piece. And this was a stencil that, an old 13 art stencil, and it's just a bunch of hearts. And I could use the stencil we have from the kit. I don't have it handy, but it's got the leaves all over it. It's a really pretty one, and I've already used it on one design. But I thought that with her silly face and her lips puckered like that, showing some hearts would be really cute right there. And that's about as far as I've gotten so far. I'm not going to do any wet mix media except for splattering, just because I want to, keep this one pretty simple. And so that's kind of my thinking process so far. It really doesn't need too much. And so this is an easy one if you're looking for a really beautiful page to scrapbook a wedding photo or, senior prom, bride, anything where you really want to, focus on the photograph because it's got this beautiful lacy type frame element. And then, the images on the side to the right and left are just really beautiful. And so you don't really need to add too much. So anyway, that's where I'm thinking so far. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. Hi everyone, I'm back. And here you can see that I am stenciling in that heart stencil from 13 Arts using one of the dye inks from 49 and Market. And I don't have it in front of me. I think it is the Twilight. We now have 3 purple tones in the 49 Market Ranger collaboration of dye inks. And I looked at all of them and chose the one that was the closest to matching my photograph. But anyway, those hearts are coming out really nicely there. And then I'm going to go ahead and put a few up in the upper left-hand area of the framed area, but kind of away from the florals, just trying to get in a little hint of continuation of the florals right there. My original intention was to kind of put my photograph more in the lower right-hand side of the frame, but then I decided to put it more central because I wanted more of the hearts to show, and it just felt a little empty up there at the upper, top. I do come in with lots of different elements to fill that in, but here you can see that I'm layering on that pocket watch or stopwatch, whatever it is, and part of the tag and, some other tags. And then I go away here in a moment, I think, and distress them with some vintage photo and with some, and a distress tool just to give them a little bit of texture. That was one of the main things I was going for on this page, was to add in texture because there's plenty of design there. And I wanted lots of layers, and so you can see me playing there with that little small frame and using a little bit of my Barely Precision glue, which is a lot like art glitter glue, but not quite as clear. And then I'm just tucking that little tiny frame in there just for some interest. And then I have a ticket, and I'm playing around with where to place that, because that will also just add another little area of layers and interest. And then I was feeling like I needed something a little bit more, and I do see that I've got the corrugated cardboard there. I did want to elevate my focal area just a little bit. It's a pretty thin piece of corrugated cardboard, but it would be equivalent to your fun foam or whatever you have in your craft room. But I just wanted to lift it up just a little bit, just for interest and dimension. I'm all about dimension and texture. And then I start looking at some of my other elements. I want to add in some sisal back behind my photograph, as well as in my floral clusters. It's just some clear ivory sisal that I have in my stash, and it's nice for bringing in a little bit of texture. You could also use cheesecloth if you have that. You could tear that. You might be able to move that, use that mummy cloth, but it's a little bit more beige in tone, so I don't know if it'd work. Right there you can see me adding back in the piece that I cut off earlier, but this more or less extended it and made it come down below my photograph, and so I'm going to use it for placement of a little subtitle here in a few minutes. And then I have a laser cut floral down in that lower left area that I'm going to pop up on some foam tape. I was out of my foam squares this day, so I was using my foam tape that I have on hand, but that worked probably even better. And I just nestle it in there. I don't want to get it too close to the photograph because I want it to show once those flowers are in place. And I play around a little bit about placement, whether I wanted the pink one on top or the purple one. I was trying to do the opposite of what's in the little laser cut, but it just ended up that I like the pink one on top, which is the same as how it is in the laser cut, but you probably wouldn't even know. I do come back here in a little while. You'll see that I rob one of the ivory flowers of some of its little buds, and I tuck those into the cluster on the bottom left and also on the upper right, and it just adds some visual interest. If you see me clipping with my scissors, I'm just clipping away some of the longer pieces of sisal that are sticking out. Now in the Prima florals there that I'm working with, they are mostly all the same size, but there's a little bit of difference. And there I did try the ivory ones as well, but I'm just experimenting there with which size I want and which tone, I think is going to work the best. And so I add that little guy right there. He's a lighter purple. So I've got actually 3 different colors of Prima florals on there. And these are from originally from the Farm Sweet Farm collection. And then you see me playing around a little bit with that round piece that I think that one says laugh, but I ultimately use one that says love, and I don't think it's on camera, but I do add some twine to it, and I mount it actually on my photograph. And there I'm pulling away I'm looking for some leaves to tuck into my clusters, and I do find some, and I pull those out, and I plan to use them on the upper right, but I actually end up using a larger floral cluster to kind of fill in that area that feels like a little gap. So that right there is what I place in there instead. And I like the way that looks. It kind of gives me that odd number of balance because there's 2 florals there. The laser cuts are a great source of embellishment for this kit, so be sure and look through all the little laser pieces, and just when you remove them, do it slowly and carefully because some of the pieces are really cut so fine, which is really nice, but you do want to be careful as you remove them from the background paper. And there I find a home for those leaves that I had earlier, and then I think off camera I add some pearls to my florals and a little bit around the page. I add a butterfly to one of the flowers, and there you can see I've tucked in the little buds on the left hand side. And then I decide I need something up top, and so I experiment with the viewfinder and also that little doily piece that's kind of taupe colored, and that's what I settle on, and it looks really nice back there, kind of fills in that gap. And then I'm placing some screws on that little subtitle that says laugh every day, and there's exactly 2 small screws in the kit, and they're in the frames and the little inside pieces. I think all the other ones are more medium and large screws, but I only found 2 small ones, so look carefully. So there I go ahead and place that underneath my photo. I am going to have details below in the description box about how you can order a kit, or better yet, become a Kit Club subscriber and not miss anything. That's the best way to go. I'm getting ready to show you my completed layout and my close-ups. I do want to thank you for coming by today, and please let me know if you have any comments or questions. Just leave them below and I will get back to you. So I appreciate you taking time to come by today, and be sure and look at everything that we have online in the 4 different kinds of kits. There's almost something for everyone. It does find a home. I promise. You'll see it in the close-ups here in just a moment. There it is. Thanks for coming by. Bye-bye.